Greetings, good people, and welcome to the next episode of Nope, 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 Nope. One
Okay.
more time.
That was good.
All right, let's go. Greetings, good people, and welcome to this episode of Righteous, Ratchet, and Real podcast. I'm Renee, and let me introduce my lovely co hosts. Go ahead, Dr. Greta.
Hello, everyone. Good day, good day, good day.
Sorry.
It's okay. I was like, this is perfect because I was wondering. I was like, we got to practice that whole
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
We had
Yeah,
not
we
worked
do.
that out, and I thought about it before, but I forgot to say, "Oh yes, let us work this out." So,
Mhm.
let's just always, I guess, let's go. We'll do whoever's leading, and then I was like, I'm trying to think of how we know because we switch in round robin who is
Right.
actually leading. So I guess for each episode we'll just work it out. So like we'll just say beforehand before we record, this is the order we're going to go
Okay.
with
Okay.
introducing ourselves, and that makes it easy. So
Mhm.
we'll do Rane, Greta, me. All right.
All right. Greetings, good people, and welcome to this episode of the Righteous, Ratchet, and Real podcast. I'm Renee, and let me shoot it over to my fabulous co hosts.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Greta. Hi, this is Dr. Keisha.
So, today's episode is going to focus on what it means to protect your peace in the home. The last couple episodes in this series, we were talking about protecting your peace at church and in the workplace. But this episode, we're going to take it right to the house. We're going to talk about what it means to protect our peace and to be at peace at home. Now, anybody who knows me can tell you that my home is truly my inner sanctum. It's my soft space, right? It's the place where I feel the safest. And so when it comes to my home, I'm gonna do what I can, everything, really everything I can to make sure that my home is straight. So let me talk to you all. A couple weeks ago, there was this viral video on TikTok, and it was featured on Good Morning America. It was a young mom. Her name is Brianna James. She's the mother of four little munchkins. I think them babies they got to be stair steps. And I think they're probably all under the age of maybe 5 or 6. So she got a whole lot of babies in her household and it's a lot going on. But she made a TikTok showing what her house looks like on a daily basis, right? And y'all, it was a lot. It was a lot. I think I think I would call it a bit chaotic. There was stuff strewn everywhere. It seemed like every room that she showed, it was just mess everywhere. The
Yeah.
kitchen was a mess. The hallway was a mess. The bedrooms. Um, and she was sharing that for a specific purpose. But first of all, I got to name that it went viral because this girl got dragged all up and down social
Mm,
media. Like people were talking so bad about this mom. And
mm,
on Good Morning America, she was able to explain the reason why she actually showed what her house looked like wasn't just to say, oh, my house is a mess, but
mhm,
it was to normalize the idea of having a home that was less than aesthetically pleasing, like most people would call aesthetically pleasing. And she did that because she struggles with depression and anxiety. I believe she said she also struggles with ADHD, and she wanted to just normalize and take the shame away from having a home that was very well lived in, right?
mhm, mhm.
So, but instead of that, folks really didn't get that message, and they, dragged her all over the place and were questioning her parenting, and
Mhm.
which is never okay. Um,
Right.
so the question then becomes, what does peace look like, when someone's personal peace is not your brand of peace?
Mhm.
There was this show long time ago, I guess it was about 2006. It was on the TLC network and it was called Shalom in the Home. And I think the show ran for about 2 seasons. And it was a rabbi, Rabbi Shmuley. And this man was kind of like, the show was like a combination of Hoarders meets Super Nanny meets
Mm.
Iyanla Fix My Life, right? There's a whole lot going on in the show. And I
Mhm.
loved it because the rabbi served as kind of like a pastor, a therapist, and a life coach all at the same time.
Mm.
And he was using the biblical concept of shalom to
Mhm.
help families that were in trouble, right? The family may have had trouble with hoarding or just being a mess, like this young woman, Brianna James's situation, or maybe they had a child that was really acting out, or they had relationship issues that were impacting the whole family. And so he would enact really this concept of shalom. He would show them what shalom looked like in very practical ways. Now,
Mhm.
you all know that shalom means wholeness and completeness and
Mhm.
well being. It means peace and soundness, right? In
Mhm.
mind, in body, in spirit. It means welfare and health. It means prosperity. It means contentment. So he was trying to bring that whole ethos into people's homes and show them how to capture that and maintain that in their homes, so their homes could be their soft places to land.
Right.
Um, so in scripture, we have all of these references to what it means to be at peace in home, right? Psalm 4:8 says, I will lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. So right there, you see that safety and being able to lie down
Mm.
comfortably is a form of peace.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
then Isaiah 32 says, the fruit of that righteousness will be peace. Its effect will be quietness and confidence forever. My people will live in peaceful dwelling places, in secure homes, in undisturbed places of rest. That was Isaiah 32:17 and 18. So, there are biblical references for what peace in the home actually means. So when we say protect your peace at home, what does that mean, ladies? What does that mean to you all? How do you go about protecting your peace at home?
So I just want to start by kind of going back to even what one of your first questions was that you asked is, what does peace look like when personal peace is not your brand of peace?
Mhm.
And going back to that video, because I think we really have to talk about it for those who watched it. Even like my first reaction was like, whew,
Took your breath away.
like it took my breath away. And I really was like, oh my God, like I felt the anxiousness and the anxiety
Mm.
for me
Yeah.
looking at that level of chaos. Like I was like,
Yeah.
I can't think. I just watched the video
Yeah.
and I can't think. And so, that really was a wake up call to me about what it looks like in terms of my own peace, right? Like, what does peace look like for me? And so I had to recognize that um, everybody has their level of what they need their house to look like.
Mm,
So
Yep.
that level could never work for me. I just could not work on function on that level.
right,
But
right.
at the same time, there are moments where my house is not perfect. Let me not even at moments. There's always a level of imperfection within my home.
Mhm.
Nobody is
Mhm.
coming into my home and seeing a magazine, like it is never perfect. I was like, at my house, we fuss about the fact that I usually have my laptop on the sofa.
Mhm.
Drive
Mhm.
my partner crazy, but my laptop and whatever I'm reading at that time, whatever books I've been working in are on my
Mhm.
sofa
Mhm.
next to me because I'm always like, I'm okay, I'm gonna jump into it, at any moment. And so that right there creates a level of chaos for him that
Right.
he doesn't like. And the level of chaos he creates for me that I don't like are socks on the floor. And
Uh-oh.
Yep.
And so we have to
Mhm.
recognize that we all learn how to navigate peace within our homes for
Yes.
ourselves. And
Yeah.
we have to be able to handle that and to say to myself, my mom taught me years ago. She was like, one of the things that she learned from my mother's for my father's mother was the fact she was like, you just have to do what you can do. And she's like, there is no need in driving up your blood pressure trying to do everything. And so she always said, if you're not feeling well, it'll be there tomorrow for you to take care of. And so that has been one of my guiding principles in my own life, is that sometimes, dog hair, if you have pets, if you are a pet mom, you understand.
We know
it
that.
is literally an everyday task to get rid of dog hair. But some days I just do not have the energy to take care of that. And so I look at the dog hair and I fuss at it, and then I keep going about my business.
Amen, sister.
For that day, that is the level of peace I do not want to chase, and I have to be okay with it.
Right.
And so for me, I think that is the greatest thing, is understanding even within the cycles of my daily life, that inner peace looks different depending on the day, what it is. And so that was one of the things I felt like I heard from that mom. Like, the chaos shocked me, but then she said, like, that I promised myself tomorrow is going to be a better day. And she's like, she has to make the decisions. Am I going to miss out on my kids? And so what does it make sense within our homes if we are trying to keep a quote unquote perfect, Instagrammable house at all times? And we have to take, because that's time. Like, let's not front about that thing. That is time, right? And so if we are taking that time to put within a house and what it looks like for an idea of what somebody thinks your house should look like, then we miss out on our opportunity to actually be present with the people who really make our home. And so those are things that I think that we are always navigating, is that we want to do better, but we still have to recognize that it's day by day for me. Like, it's any given day, we're going to get what we get, period.
Yep. And just to kind of piggyback on that, I am never more at peace in my house than when my house is clean, right? And I think that's true for a lot of people. But reality, like Keisha was saying, reality, especially when it comes like that dog hair, I can go down the steps now and see a puff of hair, probably a couple of them. And, I might get it, I might not, but hey, it is what it is. So I say all that to say tidiness, and maybe not, but just going back to Brianna's situation, tidiness obviously was not her brand of peace. Right. And who are we to be judgmental of her for how she lives? If she's all right with it, it's her house. She knows what's in her house and how it looks. The kids seem to be all right. I mean, so, everybody's brand of peace is not your brand of peace. And so sometimes we dip and dab too much into other folks' business, right?
Hey, come on.
And that whole phrase of sweep around your own back porch.
Hey, and so literally and figuratively.
So that's what I say, and just to go back to that scripture that you read, obviously she was able to lie down at night and rest in whatever state her house was in. And if she's able to do that, then so be it.
Right. And can we just talk about the fact that perfection does not equal peace?
Right. Say that again, Keisha.
Perfection does not equal peace. Right. Like, just because something looks perfect doesn't mean that someone is at peace, because you could be cleaning your house all the day long and not at rest.
Right. Right. And not be at peace.
Alone. You are unhappy in your house. It looks wonderful. The presentation is there, but you are not in a state of shalom.
Absolutely.
I think it really boils down to knowing the level of chaos that you are willing to deal with, right? Knowing what your level is and and if that's where you are, then that's where you are, and being at peace with that.
Right.
Just like we talked about boundaries in previous episodes, that could be your boundary. If you're at peace and all the dishes in the sink are not washed, God bless you. Sleep well. But no one should be imposing that standard.
Right.
If that's not their standard. So when I think about creating peace in my own household, like, there's two different ways I think about it. Like, externally, I think about the fact that I want to maintain a peaceful household um, is kind of like what they do here in California during wildfire season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Half the year is wildfire season. We are a state that stays on fire. But fire departments every year go on this campaign talking about creating defensible space around your home. So what that means, if you live in an area that has wooded perimeter around your home, the fire department asks you to go out and create several hundred yards of what you call
Mm-hmm.
defensible space, removing all of the brush from around your home so that it's
Mm-hmm.
less likely to catch fire close to your dwelling place, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that I do, right? It's an analogy, but it's definitely a spiritual practice,
It's
right?
powerful. Yeah.
I believe in eliminating all kind of noise and obstructions
Mm-hmm.
around my home. Even before you get to my door, it's peaceful, it's orderly. So that means our yard looks orderly. That,
Right.
the planting it looks good. It not only looks good, but it's orderly, right? We don't
Mm-hmm.
have trash because we live on the street where some people pass by and throw out trash. Hate it, but
Mm-hmm.
all of that. We have a door knocker on our door that says, "Peace to all who enter here." Because the whole idea is it's peaceful inside, but
Mm-hmm.
we want you at our doorstep to be at peace before you come inside, because we
Right.
don't want anything disrupting our peace. We want
Don't
the
bring that
same
mess to my
thing.
house.
Don't bring it in. Do not, like, not only wipe your feet,
Right.
check
Right.
your
Your attitude.
right at the door. Okay.
Talk about that. Like energy, like is a thing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
of energy is a whole thing. Like you coming in here with your mess, no. Like I had
Right.
one of my girlfriends would say, she was like, at first she used to always be the house that everybody could come to and like unpack their stuff. And she was like, oh no, my house is getting way
Mm-hmm.
too heavy. She was like, no, I
Mm-hmm.
had to put a stop to it. She was like, nope, don't come bring your baggage and leave
Okay.
it here and leave out free. And my household got the heaviness of
Mm-hmm.
what it is that you brought in.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I know the saints aren't necessarily with it, but I anoint my home with oil. I anoint
Mm-hmm.
all the doorposts, but I
Mm-hmm.
also once a year I sage my home. Now I know
Mm-hmm.
some indigenous folks also have issues with folks using white sage. I don't use white sage, but I do believe in smudging the home because it is a practice where you are able to just eliminate some energies and all of that stuff. And so I do that. I believe that that is helpful. Um, and it's another way that I try to cultivate peace in my home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, cultivating peace in your home is more than just anointing or saging or, a door knocker. We have to also talk about the ways in which we maintain peace in the home and how our home and our peace is really an act of resistance against everything that pushes against us out in the world. Can we talk about white supremacy? Can we
Mm-hmm.
talk about
Mm-hmm.
misogyny? Can we talk about
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that the world brings?
Right.
That is my act of creating peace in the home. That's my act of resistance. That's my
Mm-hmm.
wall.
Yes.
Can't bring that to my doorstep. You can't bring it into my home. And
Mm-hmm.
my children and my husband also benefit from that because as Black men, as Black boys, they are also dealing with a whole bunch of stuff as soon as they step off
Right.
our porch. So that is my contribution into the household, is keeping the peace. Now, keeping the peace sometimes means watching your tone. It
Mm-hmm.
means watching
Mm-hmm.
your intent with your words, right? Words create worlds. Words create
Mm-hmm.
worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
If God spoke the world into existence with just one word, just some
Right.
words, then we can create our own worlds, worlds of peace or worlds of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The choice is always ours. So I'm intentional about my tone and about what I
Mm-hmm.
say, how I say it. And that's just for all of us, for all of our sakes. The
Yeah.
goal is creating, ease.
Right. If I can jump in, so with that, with the whole tone thing, so I'm a loud talker anyway. I'm told often you don't need a microphone to preach. I just have that type of set of lungs on me, right? But anyway, it's something that I've really had to be careful with my child because I started to notice he would pull back and kind of retreat within, inwardly. depending on how I responded or reacted to something he told me. And it dawned on me it was my tone. And he's told me, Mom, why are you so loud? Why are you fussing? And I'm like, I'm not fussing. Did that sound like fussing to you? And he would be like, yeah, And so I really have to be careful with that, especially with him, because he has that sensitivity. But it's something that you really do have to watch out for, because you might be, thinking you're portraying one thing and someone is receiving it totally different. And so it's really, I'm glad you mentioned that, Renee, because that's something we really do have to be careful with, especially for us loud talkers.
I hear that. For sure. I mean, the things we say can create safety or not, our words, our tones, even we could be saying the same. Just, I mean, you said it. If you're a loud talker and you say one thing, you say take out the garbage, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It may come across completely different, and right, and even violently. And so someone could feel unsafe, like, hey, why are you yelling at me? I didn't do that. I was gonna take it out after.
Right, exactly. And that's how he was receiving. I'm like, that was not my intent. And even with Brad, there's some things that we'll talk about and he'll say something. I'm like, what I do? And he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you acting like I'm about to, whatever the case may be. He's like, that's not what I meant at all. And so, how we hear, is so important with that whole peace aspect. Not only what we say, but how we hear as well.
Yeah. So, Takesha, you already hit on it, but you said that a clean house doesn't always mean a peaceful house. I say the same thing, that a beautiful home doesn't equal peaceful home, even though I'm one that loves aesthetics. I love it. I love that my house has to look a certain way. Paint colors have to be soothing, and all of this. Furniture has to look just right and be just a certain level of comfort. But truly, those things do not equal peace. And I will also say, as women, we have the ability to create what's called temperature control with our words and with the ways in which we show up. Because, for some of us who are nurturers, not all of us are, but for some of us who are nurturers, our words and the things that we do create an atmosphere or a temperature in the household, and that can be conducive to peace or not. So,
yeah.
Right. But let's just go back to Brianna James and her little munchkins. So when we have our level of chaos that's acceptable to us, and our friends or our loved ones come over for a visit, come through. We doing, we gonna throw some ribs on the grill, come through. And your house may not be, up to their standards, and they speak on it like, oh gosh. Like, my mother lives, my mom has, she lives in our backyard now. We built her a tiny house. She lives in our backyard. So sometimes right. And sometimes she walks into something that's, kind of just, it's our level of chaos, which is acceptable, but may not be for her. So, sometimes I have to navigate that pushback from her. So what do you all do? What are we to do when our loved ones, our girlfriends, our peeps come over and they got something to say about our peaceful state? That's not their peaceful state.
Yeah.
Right. My my significant other's mother has not been, or stepmother has not been here, and so she keeps threatening she's just gonna pop up, and that has driven fear into my heart. That will pop up on a day that we're living with our chaos, and
we also ready.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
And I'm like, and I know it's not going, none of the blame is going to be put on him, even though they know who he is. All of it will fall on me.
That's true.
So that thing, I'm like, who I'm sweating bullets. And so I from the level of having just moved in here within a year and being like, I messed up the sunroom and I needed to paint it. And I'm like, please buy this paint so I can unpack the rest of these boxes. Like, we need to paint so I can unpack the boxes in my office so that, you know, when she pops up, she's not looking at that. But what I'm recognizing and what is freeing me up with, you know, watching the video and even having this discussion is that I'm saying to myself, like, this is what you're living with right now because you understand that this is where you have to be right now. And so it is about being unapologetic for the realness that is me. I'm like, look, you enjoy the wonderfulness of me and how I treat you and what I do for you and all of those things. So do not, and blessed, you know, the elders are especially the ones, child, you know,
okay,
and you know, want to, like, you know, dust your walls because, you know, I'm like, look, y'all, there, and I have to recognize who I am and be unapologetic for it because, you know, she's like once a year, she's washing baseboards. Y'all, I'm right now just praying for some maid service to come in, you know, twice a year and do baseboards because I refuse to hold my hands and my knees going around 3 levels of floors cleaning baseboards. Point blank, period. If the Swiffer and the broom, whatever is left after that, it is what it is. If you need anything more than that, I welcome you to come on ahead, get on your hands and your knees here. But as for me and my house, and timing, we are not doing baseboards. And so I think that that's part of it too, is just recognizing and being comfortable with you and who you are and being willing to let them know, like, I'm sorry, I hear what you're saying, but for me, no, the way my time is set up, you know, like, you know, Kevin Harper's talking about the way his bank account is set up, the way that my time is set up.
That's good.
I cannot do that because I'm not going to be able to get to all the things I'm already ragging myself about what I don't do if I'm chasing after what you need me to do to make you think that I'm good enough. No, I have to recognize within myself that I am good enough and I get to make the choices for me and my household.
That's right.
Others' expectations have jacked us up and twisted us and tied us up in so many ways that we are just a bunch of knots. Okay.
My God.
I literally have in my notes, Keisha, know who you are and what makes you happy and what you can live with. And I think that's key. I just got off the phone with my brother. He and his wife, they're celebrating 25 years today. Ooh. And they have a big to do this weekend. And my brother was saying, I'm so stressed out, Greta. I said, y'all getting the house ready, huh? He said, yes. And you know, because all these people are coming, they're trying to get the house to be a certain whatever they want it to be. And he's like, I'm just so stressed out. And it's not because of them having the house the way they want it. It's them having the house the way they feel like we want it.
Right.
You know? And so it's like, and I get that. Trust me. If I had people coming over here, I'd be doing the same thing. Trust and believe. But, you know, it's just amazing how we allow other people's expectations to really control us and get us to do things that do stress us out.
Right. How often, like, have we not been in that moment where somebody is coming over and you're like rushing to, you know, throw things in closets, or like when they get there, you're like apologizing, you're like, I'm so sorry, like, you know, because we are really thinking about what their perception is.
Right.
And oftentimes their perception, or what we think their perception is not even what it really is, because they know their level of chaos in their house, you know, but a lot of times it's based on what media, and especially living in an Instagrammable, you know, the moment, right? Where like people show you this level of perfection and you're thinking to yourself, why my living room don't look this good? Like, you know what I mean?
Look, it never will.
And never will, that part, right? it's recognizing that, like I've seen some TikTokers even do videos where they show like the perfect room that is the picture, and they're like, remember, there's always a room that looks like this, and that's the one where they threw all the junk from the room
Right. Yes.
photographing. And
Yeah.
so, I think it is a level of transparency and honesty that we have to get to within ourselves to say, perfection is not really a thing. And somehow yet we consistently are chasing perfection, and often our perfection is not about what our ideals are, but our ideals are formed by other people's ideas, or what we think, like my home is not going to be a magazine shoot. I don't care how many designers and decorators tell me, look, we live here from day to day. Okay? And all I'm trying to do is manage my level of peace and chaos. Thanks.
And let me say this. Zoom has helped the whole Zoom backgrounds. Let me clarify. Zoom backgrounds have helped a whole lot of folk. Okay. Yep. Trust and believe, this is not my house behind me, but I thank God for the Zoom background. Okay. That's all I have to say.
I know that's right.
Y'all, that's not Renee's situation though, right? Renee is
no.
Renee's I'm trying to get art on the wall still.
Today I'm in my office, but we do this and I'm at home. But yeah, that's probably the best part of the house though that I'm showing you. But all of this talks, that reminds me that, women are often the ones who are expected to be the sole keeper of the household.
Yeah.
And our expectations of perfection, like all of that weight usually falls on us.
Right.
Yeah. So I remember when we were on our study tour for our doctoral degree. Now we all, that's where we all met. But we had to go to South Africa. So the trip was a couple of weeks long, and I brought enough laundry, enough clothes to last me the 2 weeks. But, we were at a hotel like halfway through the trip, and I wanted to do laundry. So they had the laundry service at the hotel. And I rang down to the front desk, and they sent a lady up. And I was having a conversation with this lady. And I was telling her, I feel a little bit weird about giving you my my delicate under things, my underpinnings. I said, because typically I'm the one handling them, or my husband, he does laundry. And she stopped in her tracks because she was loading my laundry into her bag. And I said, my husband is the one who typically does laundry. And she stopped. She said, he do? I said, yeah, he does the laundry. He do? Yeah, he does the laundry. He do? Yes, he does the laundry. Lazy woman. And I was like, oh, she called me lazy.
Oh, wow.
And I said, oh my goodness. And I thought about the fact that the cultural phenomenon of women keeping the home, it ain't just Americans, it's all across the world.
Wow.
The world, we have this idea that women are the only ones who are supposed to be doing the work in the home. And so right then and there, I had to back it up because of course, being called lazy, like triggered some things in me. I had to, I had to get myself together. I'm like, I'm not lazy. I got a job, and I'm getting a doctoral degree, and I got a husband and 3 kids.
Right.
I had to.
But it's funny you mention that, because those expectations are on us, especially as women. We're the keepers of the home, like you said. I grew up, and was taught women keep the home, men keep the cars and the lawn, right? And that was the division of labor, so to speak, for Southern women and men. And so, get married and try to bring that dynamic into our home, and it just did not work for us. And so, Brad and I had to come to a realization of, I work too. We're both working, right? And time is not our own. And so I couldn't do it all. Yeah, I'm Superwoman. I'm Wonder Woman. I believe that. But, when it came to that, I struggled. And so, like you said, Archie helps you I know definitely Brad, he does laundry, makes, we share in the responsibility. But, I think the important part for us was realizing what worked for us and what didn't work for us. And
Mhm.
so trying to bring in that dynamic of women got their home, men do the grass and the cars. That no, that didn't work for the Fowler family. And figuring out that it didn't work really saved us a lot of peace
Mhm.
because it was
Mhm.
robbing us of our peace.
That's good.
Mhm.
Sometimes pushing back on societal norms is what you have to do
Mm-hmm.
in order to
Mm-hmm.
protect your peace. Maybe that's what that means for a lot of people. I mean, that's what it meant for
Right.
us,
Right.
because laundry is not my strong suit. Period.
I hear that.
And it has to be done. And Archie don't mind doing it, so
Right.
that is what it is for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So that is today's episode. We hope that something was said or that you felt something in this episode that got you to thinking or that inspired you or something that or at least that will keep you coming back for another episode. Right.
Yes.
So I do
Come
want
back.
to mention before we go that there was one book that my best friend Charlotte Avery wrote. It's called 40-Day Tone of Voice Tone Down. Transform your relationships one octave at a time. Now, if you struggle with your tone of voice, or if you or your partner or the folks that you share a household with struggle with their tone of voice and think they could benefit from maybe working on that to help the relationship along, that book is for you. All right. So that's today's episode. We'll see you next time.